Hey, folks. Welcome to the 4099 podcast via Zoom, episode 22, with your hosts, Dima and...
Hi, I'm Nick. Again, still here.
Still here, still kicking. And we'll let you do the intros this time around.
All right. So we have a guy. He's a man most of the time. Sometimes he's not a man. Sometimes he's like a werewolf. Other times he's a pro wrestler. I actually remember that vividly. You beat the shit out of me a lot.
I'm still apologizing.
Don't do that. Don't apologize. It makes it tough. You know what I mean? So yeah, name dropping. Here we go. Everybody, let's welcome Jayce Russell to the fam.
Welcome, man. We're really excited to get you on Zoom. I know we planned for a more of an in-person kind of thing, but Zoom seems like the way to go. I mean, especially with this, the virus thing going on.
It was the safe call.
It was a safe call, yeah.
You know what I'm excited about?
What? Oh.
It's cracking time.
It's cracking time. Let's do it.
Oh shit.
You got a squirter today, Nick.
Shaboomafoo.
I gotta put my lips low so it don't get a head on it. I've drank before.
How you doing, man?
Pretty fucking decent. Had to get a COVID test the other day, so that was fun.
Yeah, and we're talking about it a little bit off camera and stuff, and like the whole, picking whether you want what are those damn little things called? That you know what I'm talking about? Those things that
the little test brush thing.
Yeah, little test brush things. Some people get it down the throat, some people get it down the nose. You know what I mean? You were one of the lucky ones to get it, in the nose, right?
Yeah, I just hit up a drive-through test site they got set up in lovely, scenic, beautiful Reidsville. On for a while, and they just ran it around like the inside of the nose, didn't push into the sinuses or anything, didn't rupture my blood-brain barrier. One fun thing was like there was an older couple on a Harley in front of me that kept cranking it whenever they had to move because, it's a line, we're in cars. You got to wear masks when you go through the actual drive-through part. And it was like older dude driving. He had a helmet on with like I have the body of a god, Buddha specifically, sticker on the back. That was the only one big enough for me to read. And I guess his wife or whoever was sitting on the back. And like the woman in front of me who's like actually working for the hospital is like, yeah, I can see them gesturing the general, yeah, mask. And the old dude doesn't get one, but the woman riding on the back does get a mask and just sort of holds it over her face like this the whole time, which seems to me less convenient than just putting it over your fucking ears. But that was my experience. And then they ran that Q-tip around the inside of my nose and told me to sign up for some health chart thing that didn't fucking work today.
We're talking about like public healthcare kind of shit, right?
Yeah,
more or less.
Well, that fucking sweet ass state healthcare plan. But I mean, shit, they didn't even ask insurance. They asked my address and phone number.
Huh. I wonder if it's for like that contact tracing shit that they've been doing.
I'm guessing that's what they're doing with it. Have y'all seen the app North Carolina put out for it?
No.
Yeah, like work sent out an email about it, so I just sort of gave it a shot to see what it's about. And it does like Bluetooth connections with other phones that have the app.
Huh.
And it just stores which phones you've been in close proximity to for extended periods of time. And if one of those users does get tested positive, they can tell the app and it'll contact trace backwards, which is like significantly more work than the White House has done.
Right. Yeah. Oh shit.
Honestly. Yeah.
Yeah. Aren't they? They're going through some shit right now, aren't they?
It's a lot of people who said some people are going to have to die for the economy, suddenly risking their own lives, and I should have been expecting that. I'm not saying it's hilarious, but I'm not refuting that statement.
That's fair.
Yeah, that is pretty fair. Yeah, that's gnarly though, man. The whole, app thing. It's only getting like, crazier and crazier in terms of like what they're doing for this virus thing, like, so we're just talking about business specifically, like even in, you have huge corporations, and it's, obviously mainly like more like, so like on the internet, I guess, monopolies like Amazon and even like Facebook and Microsoft and stuff like that. You see a lot of those big tech companies like start to close down shop, physical shop, and move towards the like virtual commerce kind of area, and
But not at the White House.
not at the White House.
Keep the lights on.
Before we go too in depth in any of these conversations, I should make it clear I'm an English professor. I'm a poet. I have a master's of fine arts in poetry. I'm co-poetry editor for a lit magazine whose 7th issue is about to come out. So anything I say may need to be taken with a grain of salt. I just wanted to
Roger that.
so no one's like, who is this expert? Who is this sexual, powerful expert?
Well, dude, you
Get him on the horn.
Right. You that was nice, man. That was very smooth. That's very professional of you, man. Speaking of the magazine, I really want to ask about that, man. Like, what magazine are you allowed to say? Or
Yeah, I mean, totally. Al, could you grab like a copy? I think they're all over there. I would have done it. Yeah, my spouse is sitting right here. There's issues right in there, aren't there?
I don't think so. I think that's
Maybe
my
at the-
art books.
Oh fuck.
There's some on
It's
the
okay,
back, on the back table.
All right, the magazine is Outlook Springs. I'm a graduate of University of New Hampshire's MFA program, which, I mean, can I say fuck UNH? Because fuck UNH.
Yeah.
But anyways, I'm a graduate of their program, and another dude in the program started up this lit mag, Outlook Springs.
Sick.
Because like the whole idea is, I mean, we're working with a lot of ideas for this. One of those is so many literary magazines are just the people's work. It's like, hey, send us your work, pay $4 or $5 for us to read it. We might publish it. We're not going to give you any money. We're not going to put anything in the magazine ourselves. We're just going to sell your work to, man, this is all really me talking shit about other lit mags, but that's who I am. He knew this when he hired me. And it's just like, we're going to sell your work. We're going to make whatever profit there is off your work and do nothing ourselves. But Outlook Springs, like, we do pay our authors. We don't charge submission fees. And like the books that we put together are they're all built around a theme full of our own work. Like, this is the older employee handbook issue. So like in between the work, you'll get just little like pieces of things going on. This issue had fun fern facts. If y'all remember Microsoft's Clippy from back in the day.
Yeah, I do. Yep.
Yeah, like high school fucking computer class.
Mm.
And they're all just built around these themes, trying to like do something kind of weird, subversive, absurd, sort of like, I don't know, I think there's like a Church of the Subgenius vibe to it. If y'all remember that, that's a bit of an old reference at this point. And our 7th issue is about to drop. Pre-orders are live now. I think the first 27 maybe pre-orders, which we might have already hit, get a patch. This issue's theme is Camp Summer, which is a summer camp that people just inexplicably can't leave. It's there, you're trapped. Kumbaya, enjoy it.
Like a,
Yeah, that's
California.
I'm the poetry warlock. Do you have a title?
I'm Reverend Dr. Finalen.
Yes. I have to show you to prove that you're real.
I am real. Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
But yeah, that's Outlook Springs, and that's why you should take anything I say with something of a grain of salt if it ain't specifically about poetry, and you shouldn't trust it if I'm talking about poetry because I know enough about it to lie to you.
Yeah, that's how you really know something.
Oh yeah. What was that shit at Amazon recently? Like the number of workers in that one distribution center that tested positive for COVID? Or was that over their entire network?
I think it was overall, but it was like 1,700, right?
I don't shit, let me just pull that up. Amazon workers be getting COVID. More than 19,000 workers got COVID.
Damn.
Demo, where did you grow up?
I grew up in a small little country in Eastern Europe's. Well, Moldova is the country, but it's like sandwiched in between the Ukraine and Romania.
Okay. So, like, you understand, like, what I'm talking about when I sort of fixate on that 19,000 number. Because I know, like, Nick does, and I do, because that's bigger than the cities we grew up in.
Right. Yeah. No. Totally. I mean, I'm originally from a very small country, but so 19,000 is a huge amount, and I can relate with you guys on that. And that's awful. That is awful. But yeah, if you look at it in the context of even the world, that's a fairly large number. Like that's a fairly large number of infections. Specific. That's only one company we're talking about. You know.
Well, I mean, those people are going to be pulled out of work for
Right.
X number of days to weeks. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
So, like, just imagine, like, you know, the world's workforce or just people in general in the world at any point in time, just not here, kind of raptured or something. You know,
right.
Just shoosh, gone.
I promise not to just start shouting unionize. But I mean, in situations like this, it's kind of like, what the fuck else can you do but realize that, like right now, America has so many more workers than it does jobs. Like, am I to expect the ruling class to give a shit if that number gets a little bit closer to parity? Like, if I die, there are a ton of people with my degree or fucking better qualifications than me who can easily just slip into my job. And it's sort of fun to see all that in action. And by fun, y'all know I don't mean fun.
Right.
Yeah, it's not the normal fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, COVID's been a tight situation. Big squeeze. I didn't know that Amazon was that high up on it.
I didn't either, to be honest. Yeah. I mean, I figured, you know, there would be quite a few just because it's such a huge company at this point. I mean, another thing we have to mention is the fact that, I know I was just reading in the news today that it's a huge problem that what you know Amazon's doing in terms of monopolizing and just in general. I mean, just
talking about choking out free market.
Well, yeah, man, it's like, you know, so many small business, even the huge corporations like even like Walmart and Target are having like trouble at this point, like selling shit because Amazon pretty much covers all bases, you know?
Yeah, like Amazon became synonymous with selling shit on the internet.
Yeah.
Jeff Bezos was there so early with an idea that seemed kind of absurd to people at the time. And what was it, like a couple $100,000 his parents let him borrow?
Yep.
I mean, we can all relate to that. We were all $100,000 to build our empires. But I mean, he got in there and just has maximized profit and shouldered everybody out of the market. A friend of mine loves Super Donuts. Do y'all know Super Donuts?
No.
They're like nutrition dense vending machine donuts you could grab at like school vending machines. And like he found out today Amazon doesn't sell those, and the shit kind of blew my mind. Like donuts.com is the one place you can buy them.
They're holding out.
And I ain't pitching a product. If I'm pitching a product, it's Buffalo Trace.
All right.
It tastes like the buffalo. They're never gonna fucking hire me for slogans.
I was gonna say, are you sponsored by them or are you just fucking around?
I would love to be sponsored by them. You can't find the shit in North Carolina 90% of the time.
Yeah, it's pretty rough to get that.
Yeah, I've stockpiled I think I'm down to a bottle and a half now since I tapped into this one the other day. I don't drink like I used to, but Nick remembers what I can do. I mean, with things like, I don't know, with just the scale of operations that a company like Amazon has access to, it's just so difficult to understand a way to move forward that actually like gives a shit about humans, especially as individuals. And that I think I think that's one of the things we've had time to realize more under COVID. Like we've had time off. We've adjusted our schedules, and we've gotten a better sense of how many of the systems we're part of that don't give a shit about us.
Mm.
Like, Nick, you're a UNCG student. The fucking hustle they pulled on y'all this year.
Yeah, dude. Don't even.
You want to talk about that some, or y'all already expressed that in great detail in your life?
You can take it. You can take it. I'm gonna sit back on it because it's personal.
That's fair. I mean, it's the slickest shit because they knew before the semester started, odds were they were going to have to curtail face-to-face operations.
Mm.
They're not stupid people. Like, administrators are not dumb people. The people who make it to this level to make these decisions are not stupid. But they wanted the money. So they waited until after the drop ad date to tell people, like, that money you spent on meal plans, that money you spent on on-campus housing, dorms, all the money you spent on, like, technology fees, athletics fees. Anyways, we're going online. Don't come back to our campus.
Mm.
And we're not refunding you. And they knew that was going to happen. And I have some sympathy for it because these systems are operating on such razor thin margins because there is that expectation that every year they're going to turn more profit. And I mean, like, how much has your tuition gone up in your time there, Nick?
So I want to say, like, from 2016 to 2020, I think I saw about a $2,500 increase just in, like, base tuition.
God. Yeah, I remember when I was there, I think I graduated 2012. When I was there, I think it was still right over $4,000 a semester by the time I graduated. But I mean, I was off campus. I didn't do meal plan.
So, like, I want to say with in-state, and the reason I'm not, like, exact on the numbers is because I don't technically pay for it.
Yeah.
But I want to say it was, like, when I started, it was, like, just over 10 a year. Now it's, like, something like 13 or 14.
Okay, so we went from, like, 4 a semester to, like, 6 or 7 a semester.
Yeah.
And less than a decade. So I mean, like, all these systems, like, they operate on such thin margins that they got to just try and squeeze more and more from fewer, or not even fewer people, but you understand what I'm saying. They have the same number of people, and they have to try and squeeze more and more from each of us every year. And I just don't know if I don't know if that's a sustainable process. I don't know if that's a system that can be maintained.
No, I got into this with an older friend last night about how, like, in America we choose capitalism over socialism day in, day out, but the way we, like, have utilized capitalism isn't really sustainable. That being said, we don't hold the infrastructure to run off of socialism.
Yeah, because everything's been so capitalism first for, I mean, even FDR's New Deal was at its heart a capitalist ideology. The goal was to just shave more crumbs off of the chunk so that people had fewer problems, so that people were happier with the system as it was and would not be interested in other competing systems. So, I mean, yeah, like, we definitely don't have the infrastructure right now probably to switch to anything else. But at the same time, this whole idea, like, capitalism requires this infinitely expanding future. You have to constantly have more profits. You have to constantly have more consumers. You have to constantly move more product. And there are limits to all of those. There is no infinitely expanding resource, but capitalism will slice your head off if you don't have increasing returns every year.
Well, I mean, I was going to say it's like, coming from a different place, right? Coming from a country that knows all about communism, that knows all about socialism. There are its woes and negative attributes there too. I mean, I won't get too personal, but I will just, like, speak from a immigrant standpoint, looking at kind of the American system that they've built. I mean, it's like, it works until, like you were saying before, there's just no more meat to cut off the spit. You know what I mean? It's like, it we're coming to a point where we can't really sustain this mass consumption like forever. You know what I mean? And capitalism is more so of a system that is built on like today. You know, we're not really thinking about tomorrow too much because we're thinking about how to maximize profit, how to maximize pleasure, right? That's what the goal is. How to consume, like the whole ideology with capitalism is how do I turn this object into a form of pleasure? And the more objects I buy, the more pleasure I get. And I mean, sure, yeah, that works. It's fine. You know, everyone here has grossly inflated salaries when it comes to what, like the comparison between here and, for instance, my country. Like here, I think the average a person rakes in a year is probably what, like 50 grand, you guys would say?
No, if you're taking in like full considerations, I think the like average is like high 30s, low 40s.
Okay, so even with that, right?
Because average and median are two very different numbers here too.
Yeah, just true.
Like the middle guy is making so much less than the average person. If you really factor in how much people like Bezos turn in a year, that inflates those numbers a shitload.
Right, exactly. And what I was, even like, let's just say even if it's 38, right? Which I think last time I checked, it was somewhere around 49, 50, something like that. My country, an average person gets about $2,000 a year. So it's like, and that's not just where I'm from. That's like a lot of places. A lot of places are hitting maybe like at best, 20, 30, unless we start talking about like a really wealthy country like, Switzerland or, I don't know, maybe the Netherlands or something like that, So it's like, where I'm going with this is because of capitalism, people's materialistic lifestyle is amazing. Like people are very happy materialistically, but I feel like we as people are starting to get to a point where we don't necessarily find as much pleasure in materialism as we used to, right? We don't come like our parents, maybe, for sure. Our parents were, what do they call those families that, the people that found basically everything in life from building a family, having a career. What is that? Is that
the nuclear family?
Nuclear family? Yeah, it's like
the nuclear.
I think that's baby boomers.
Yeah, exactly. But like we find our pleasure in things outside of. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the hell out of a car. I love the hell out of a house. But like we're starting to find pleasure. I feel like we're, as a society, in our own relationships with one another. We're starting to get a little bit deeper than just this chunk of metal, you know what I mean? Or this pile of bricks, So it's like, that's important to mention. I feel like a lot of people, I sense, with the people around me, that a lot of friends are moving towards more of like and that's why we're having such huge, basically, problems with, racism right now, and even on the political side of things, and all of these different wars that we're fighting on all different fronts, is because we've come to a point of realization as human beings that shit, man, like I kind of just want to be friends with like the people that I'm living next to. You know what I mean? It's a little bit more than raking in, my 40 or 50 grand, like that shit.
You're talking about establishing a sense of community.
Right, exactly. An interconnected society is what I mean. Like people want to feel happy with the relationships.
Away from material.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. Anyway.
Marxist shit right there. You realize I'm a government employee, right? I mean, there was a point in there where you said, like, you were talking about, like, the happiness waning from material goods. And I do think that is, like, one major marking point that increasingly shows up in generations. Like, we seem to be increasingly aware that these material goods do not actually give us any sort of pleasure. And, like, in some cases, our misery seems to increase. Like, I'm not saying burn smartphones, but I'm saying, like, I get more depressed when I scroll through social media all day. And yeah, I think you're completely right when you say that we do want more of a sense of community. We want a more fulfilling lifestyle because, like, I mean, my parents seem pretty happy. But I look at a lot of people in their generation, they're solidly baby boomers. My dad's 74 this year. My mom's in her 60s. And like, I look at a lot of their peers and they're not happy people. They chased that material dream. They chased that dream of acquisition, of stockpiling what they could. Some of them had the rug pulled out from under them as their industries disappeared. Others had it pretty set, but like, none of them really seemed that fucking happy when I look at it. And I mean, maybe happiness is something that we can't ever quite attain. Maybe some people are happy and some people aren't. That's just the way it is. But I do think that all the inequality has a lot to do with it. And at this point, the kinds of inequalities that exist in America have been rolling for generation upon generation upon generation,
Right.
and compounding one another. And we're feeling a lot of that inequality right now. Because, like, I mean, I'm bougie as hell. I'm not going to say I'm not privileged. I drive, like, I have a fucking $50,000 car.
Mm.
I have a fucking BMW M240.
Hell yeah, man. That's a beauty.
But, like, what I give a shit about with it is, like, the experience of the thing.
Hell
And
yeah.
I don't think it's actually worth, like, a year's salary. I don't think it's worth, like, the amount of people I could feed in a year with that much money pisses me off at myself, you know?
Mm.
And the amount of people I could feed in a year with that much money, if we weren't at a point where like corporate farms were throwing out food to keep prices high, pisses me off even more. So like that kind of, I mean, just sort of bridging off of that, it makes me think of fucking recycling. Like for 50 years, since the 70s, we've been told to recycle, you know? Like as individuals, we recycle. We have recycled so well that there's not enough room for more recycling. Like China's full up of processing our recycling. Every nation that deals with our recycling is like, throw that shit away. We don't have the capacity for more. And yet the damn world is still on fire. Like me or you.
Literally.
Yeah, straight up. Like me or you aren't going to make a huge impact. But there are these giant fucking machines out there, these Molochs of industry that are doing all of the shit. Like Amazon is eating people alive. There was that dude who died in one of their warehouses last year or the other year. Time means little in COVID time. And they just let the body lay there for several minutes.
Damn.
What?
And they'll send supervisors down to call you out if you're leaning for a minute on your shift. But they let a dead dude lay there. And like all of these machines are just tearing us up. And like you said, I don't think they give a damn about tomorrow. And actually, y'all run the conversation for a minute. I'm actually going to set up a DVR for my pro wrestling. I like this conversation. It's fun to talk to y'all.
Hell yeah, man. Vice versa.
What are you DVRing?
Pro wrestling, all elite wrestling on Turner Network Television.
Which network? Which
TNT.
wrestling is it now? Is it AEW?
Yeah, AEW.
Oh, dude. So one of my favorite like guys in the world. And I mean this like he's one of my favorite people on the planet.
Thank you.
Not you. I'm talking about the guy in AEW.
Andy Williams.
Yes.
Yes, the fucking butcher.
I love him. He's just a good guy.
Oh my God. I love how he comes across in interviews. I think you should get Rob on this show at some point. But does Andy Williams remind you of Rob any?
You talking about the Rob we know?
Yeah. You know Rob.
Yeah, of course.
Rob pulled a gun on Dima once.
Yep.
Really? Like actually pulled a gun on you?
Well, he showed up with a gun and Dima freaked out. How about that?
I did not freak out. I was like,
He was like, "Is that a gun? Is
no,
that a gun?
no.
Don't shoot! It's a sandwich.
Let's not run that narrative there.
It's a sandwich. Don't shoot."
What happened was after that.
I forget what we were doing.
Before that is what I mean.
We were playing scary video games. that
Yeah,
night.
we're playing scary video games, and what happened was Rob was over. He was hanging around, and something happened, and I was like, "Hey!" And I pretended to reach in my coat, and I just pulled out like the finger gun, right?
Oh,
And then he was like, "Oh, word!" And so he actually fucking
Oh, word.
unsaddled his shit. He was like, "Yeah."
Oh yeah, I'm not putting Rob on blast like that. That is a sexy little cig he carries around. Like, I'm not going to deny that. That little cig he's got is a nice little piece.
I got myself a little safety stick recently too, so Rob and me can have a little Western flick, whatever.
You need to learn how to clean that thing first.
Yeah, I've been in
We're
the
getting there.
market for a little L-shaped fun machine myself. I found that it is completely fucking impossible to buy firearms right now.
Yes, it is. We were just in the shop the other day, and it was like all sold out. It was so hard. I was trying to buy. Won't get into details, but I was trying to buy a specific piece, and apparently those were like pretty much reserved for law enforcement. And then after,
Wait.
That sounds like a
Go set up your DVR.
No, the DVR set up.
Oh, okay.
Word.
I didn't want to like make you miss anything that had to do with Andy Williams.
He had a
Anywho.
shot world title last week.
Yeah, I can't be responsible for you not being able to see that. So
He lost. He did not win the world title, but he looked good for like a dude in his late 30s in a metal band.
yeah, love it. That being said, I got a carcass, so I'm gonna go get another one.
I'm gonna finish up my little story though.
Yes.
Unless you have something, you need to run and get something.
I'm a dip to the door and smoke a cigarette because
Word.
I'm a nicotine addict. I've been smoking Newports for the last motherfucking 18 years. What the hell?
Listen, nicotine gets a lot of people through a lot of shit.
Oh yeah.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Story.
But anyway, so I was in the store, like I was telling you before, and trying to purchase a piece, and the specific, huh?
A metallic friend.
Yes, a metallic friend, a like we said, a safety stick, and anywho, the specific one that I was trying to purchase was apparently like a bunch of them were reserved for law enforcement, so we didn't have a lot of options. Thankfully, the friend that I got was a pretty reliable friend, but
Talking about me?
yeah, I'm not talking about Nick, but
He is not reliable. No, Nick is very reliable. He changed too many fucking tires at our wedding for me to call him not reliable. Even as
no, he's good with the tires for sure. But anywho, yeah, everything was sold out, man. Everything was sold out. It's very impossible to get yourself a safety stick these days.
So I do have to give Donald Trump credit for something. This is the first time gun sales have gone up under a Republican president that I'm aware of in my lifetime.
Really?
I mean, like, that is a significant issue. Like, under Obama, like, the NRA was making a shitload of money off or to fund lobbyists with. Gun sales were through the fucking roof because people buy a shitload of guns and ammunition when a Democrat's in office. But, like, I built myself, or a friend of mine built me AR this, like, recently.
Right.
And putting all the parts together was a son of a bitch. Finding ammunition at all was a son of a bitch. And just the entire process is clearly so fueled by, I mean, demand is outpacing supply for once. So I know the NRA is happy. I know manufacturers are happy. But it does make me wonder how much of this is fear built or fear that is partially stimulated in order to stimulate the economy.
Yeah, I think that has a pretty big.
Fire in the hole. Yeah.
Nick just cracked the second one of the night.
I think this is gonna be a thick boy.
Yeah.
Oh, Al, don't let the pizza burn.
Oh, I'm not. I got it on a timer.
Thanks.
You had it at the wrong temperature and everything.
I wanted to get the pizza stone hot.
I was just like flying around the kitchen like the flying nun,
Whoa.
and also like kind of.
What the hell is that?
This beer I got is flavored like peanut butter banana fluffer nutter.
Oh my God, that's exactly what it tastes like.
Are
Huh.
you gonna make me drink that?
No.
Okay.
I got you some good ones.
Yeah, no, I had you a bunch of those like a Heffenweisen type shits.
Oh, Hefeweizen.
Yeah, Hefeweizen.
Incidentally, the dude who put my AR together loves Hefeweizens. He's a veteran, spent a lot of time in Germany.
Oh, right on, right on.
Some acquired taste.
But I mean, yeah, just fucking finding a piece right now is a son of a bitch. I want a G19. I've got like some of my grandma's old revolvers, 22s that would scare a cat if you hit it dead center.
Mm.
But I would like a Glock. And you can't find them because people are fucking terrified.
Yeah, I mean, the ones that we were having trouble with were the 9 millis and the even 32s, right? They didn't have a ton of those.
I wasn't like, I mean, we were looking for different things. I was looking at 40s.
Oh, okay.
I was looking at 40s and 45s. I was like, check out this 1911 right here, baby. Oh, not to be that guy, but that's a sexy gun.
It is. Nick, while we're on the subject, we do have to go shooting soon.
Yeah, no. So I talked to our mutual about that.
Your other uncle, who has strong opinions that you think was weird growing up, but sort of set a foundation for you. I watch y'all's shit.
I mean, he was like kind of like a substitute dad or something sometimes. Kind of, you know.
He's an amazing dude. He's probably the best human being I know.
Kind of like the Green Power Ranger, just showed up when shit was really bad.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Like, we're not gonna be able to beat this one, guys. We gotta call in the green guy.
But yeah, let's talk about that sometime. I do have a lot of boom seeds.
Okay.
I'd like to use them, just not on people. I'd just like to put holes in targets with them. I haven't even sighted.
That's nice to clarify.
Yeah.
I've got some old ammo that I need to rotate out, and you know that's a safety protocol. You know, use it before you lose it because it does expire.
Yeah. I mean, I do think there are a couple different types of shooters in the world. And I think there's definitely a group that has built up this entire, like, fucking Mad Max masturbatory fantasy in their head where one day they're going to get to use their gun to mow down hordes of the unwashed masses to prove the American dream with bullets. Like, there are people who own guns because they want to fucking use a gun. And there are people who own guns just because, like, it's a gun. We have the right to own guns. Like, I don't think there's a single... I do not think there is a single political philosopher worth listening to who does not advocate owning guns.
Yeah, I mean, listen, bringing this show to the viewers and the listeners, I mean, something that I guess a lot of people are, you know, the not pro-gun people, right, that are usually have a problem with is just like the whole, you know, probably school shooter comes into it and, you know, all these different types of public accidents that happen with guns, but
incidents,
yes. And, you know, to bring this conversation more to like a bigger platform with maybe, I guess make it more relatable to the people listening and viewing. I think everyone in this room believes that we should exercise that amendment for sure. And not for any kind of obviously fantasy or stuff like that, but just
no showboating. It's
right.
Literally just, this is your right. You should probably have one of these just in case, because you never know. Like, you could be a target. Exactly.
And there's a lot of places in the world that don't. I'm sorry for cutting you off.
No, you're good. I kind of jumped in once your syllable had started. I teach. I've been teaching for years. I'm teaching through like Zoom type setups now. So I'm acutely aware of when no one's cutting me off, but I'm cutting them off in a teacherly way, and I need to watch that shit.
You're good, man. Let's actually get into that. I want to get into that actually. Like,
damn, it's a good time talking about guns.
Well, what were you gonna say before we get into that?
Well, I mean, I was just going to say that, like, with the place that the larger discourse is at within America, it is really hard to discuss any kind of gun ownership that doesn't sound like you're descending into some style of fantasy. But I do think that, like, that did establish a pretty good grounds for it because, I mean, whether a person's a full-fledged libertarian or a diehard communist, people outside of this discourse have definite arguments for gun ownership.
Right.
And it just doesn't strike me that, like, I mean, obviously, I think school shooters are bad. I think
Mhm.
white supremacists are bad. I
Mhm.
think fascists are bad.
Mhm.
But I don't honestly think that the issue with school shooters is fucking gun ownership. I mean, obviously, gun access plays a part of it, but I think it has so much more to do with different sort of social, cultural conditions that lead people to doing this.
Oh, of course.
And so much of it is like straight white dudes in like middle class or upper middle class areas. And I think that speaks in a way to the alienating nature of our society. Because like these kids grow up their whole fucking lives being told that they're privileged. And the experience of being a part of a privileged class is, if the experience of being part of a privileged class is you still feel like shit and you still feel like the only way to express yourself is to shoot your fucking colleagues and peers, that really speaks to the alienating nature of our culture.
Yeah, that's a really solid point. I mean, I feel like you're absolutely right. I mean, it all comes down to your surroundings, right? It all comes down to who you're listening to, what you're looking at. A lot of these, school shooters. First of all, it's important to say a lot of them are younger, right? You don't. I mean, obviously, I'm not saying a 35-year-old is never gone and shot up something, but I'm just saying a lot of these quote unquote like these school shooter scenarios involve younger aged people, right? That usually are on some Reddit blog reading about supremacy in some way. And
they take that shit to heart.
They take it to heart, right? And they're pretty much, brainwashed by whoever the hell they're listening to and think that this is something that they have to do because X, Y, and Z, And,
I didn't know that brainwashing was real until like 2012.
I mean, brainwashing is the simplest thing at all. If you don't have people who think critically, every like word they read goes through their skull like they're the ones thinking it.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. It's like this like clusterfuck of groupthink echo chambers, like mindless, lazy brains.
Lord, can I get a quick shout out about George Orwell real quick?
Go ahead, man.
By all means.
George Orwell fucking kills me because he wrote entire books about how bad authoritarianism was while snitching on his friends to the government. He's like, authoritarianism is terrible. Here's 1984. Anyways, government, I have some friends who were communists, and I think you should know about that. Get the fuck out of here with that shit.
Hey, listen, man, listen. I think this makes it full circle because before we were talking about the system that we're living in, right? And the fact that aside from us living in a capitalistic society, right? A part of that is, I don't know, this sense of, I guess, almost false power, right? Like the sense of immunity, right? Yeah, exactly. Immunity. And again, it goes to the world slowly starting to change and realize like, oh, I don't necessarily like that scrap of metal. I'd rather be friends with my neighbor. You know what I mean? And if we build a positive system based on positive relationships, we wouldn't have these kind of problems to begin with. Like if you honestly felt connected, like really just even on the, like such a really practical scale of connected to other people around you, you wouldn't in a million years think of going into a school and killing a bunch of kids that are, defenseless to begin with. You know what I mean? So it's like, it goes full circle and really says a lot of things about the system that we're living in. You know what I mean?
The people who enact these sorts of things are feeling that level of alienated from their peers, and they're the ones who are the beneficiaries of privilege. How do those who have no access to power feel?
Right. Exactly. Yep. Exactly. I mean, you said it right there, man. That was the exclamation point.
I do what I can. And this pizza could use another minute.
What is that you making?
So like ever since we used to have a routine since AEW started of we would go to a pizza place in Reedsville and grab 2 medium pizzas. They're like $7 a piece, and sit down and watch wrestling. We have eaten out twice, each of us, since COVID started.
Mm.
The first time we grabbed Greek with Rob, who we were talking about earlier.
Mhm.
Al, I think, grabbed like, I don't know, like a sushi bowl place when they were in Greensboro working with like community group they work with.
About the one downtown?
I think so, yeah. It was an event with, I'd like to give a shout out to Woe Greensboro. They do incredible work for the houseless in our community. They do incredible work for the working class in our community. They've done incredible work for Marcus Dion Smith, who was murdered by the Greensboro Police Department, and his family. I just want to shout out to them. But yeah, Al grabbed a sushi bowl with them, and I went to cookout at like 2 a.m. when my dad was in the ER.
Yeah, that happens. 2 a.m. runs.
But I mean, so yeah, when COVID started, I started making pizza. And with the exception of 2 weeks, I've made pizza every week from the scratch. Just build a dough, get that going, cook some pizzas. So anyways, I said all of that to say right now we're eating, what is it, like shit-ass Jim, stupid fuck Mike, Wild
Mike's
Mike,
grocery store pizza.
Wild Mike's grocery store pizza.
They had a coupon.
Yeah, this is the first time I did not make pizza other than Al's birthday. We got Ignorant Jim's 2-pound pizza.
What? Are those actual names?
It's like Wild Mike's.
Yeah.
It's the Papa John's of grocery store pizza.
Mm.
It comes with packets of things to spread on it.
Okay, sick. It's the hookup.
I ain't mad at it.
I suggest making pizza. Making pizza is fun. There's a good experience with dough. If you want to pretend that things have meaning they may not, you can find that in dough.
We used to get high making like bread and stuff, like when it was like activated with the yeast on the submarine.
Yeah.
You wait till it builds up this giant pillow in the pan. You got that big air pocket. I don't know what kind of gas is in there, but if you puncture it and stick your face in there and huff real quick, you get the wah-wahs.
Oh man. What else were you guys doing on that sub? If you got
We made bilge wine.
Yeah.
Everything evolved around the yeast.
Oh
I'm
man.
pretty sure some people down there huffing amine.
Oh god. What is that for the folks that don't know?
Amine's a fluid. At least I think it's always a fluid. It might change its,
Composition.
yeah, whatever, like,
Chemical composition.
yeah. But amine's a fluid that pulls carbon monoxide or dioxide out of like ambient air. I don't know what that does to you if you huff it.
Probably, I guess, something worthwhile if people were doing it. For them, at least, not for...
grease, like bloody knuckle fucking grease heads in the machinery room just getting fucking wrecked.
Oh, man.
You get bored when you're hundreds of feet underwater for months on end.
I can only imagine.
You get creative out of boredom.
I feel also that in Nick's casual presentation of this experience, he's also leaving something else about being on a sub.
I did those things a lot. It's pretty casual.
No. You're talking about this as though this is just the way people live. This is...
So, I mean...
Motherfucker, you are like 6'4".
5.
Wait, you ain't 6'5".
That's what my medical records say.
You're fucking lying. My driver's license says 6'4" for me. I'm 6'4.5" flat-footed, and I'm slightly taller than you.
You guys are giants. I'm 6'11". It's 5'11",
I don't
man.
know where my wallet's at.
Well, you can also buy pants that look cool.
This is
Like
true.
me and Nick are stuck with Amazon brand and the Levi's that still have like hoops for hammers.
I love those though.
They were really cool when I fucking worked in construction.
I did learn like there are like shirts that I can buy now that are awesome. Like
Those tall ones?
yeah, I go to like Duluth and I get like the tall larges. That's the perfect shirt for me.
Yeah, like my options are like, do I buy a 3X shirt or a tall large?
Yeah, do I want like the super like wide? It's like the chode of t-shirts. It's as wide as it is tall or long.
Do I feel like the fattiest boy on the planet, or perhaps a '90s rapper, or do I feel almost or a normal human being?
Oh
I
man.
hate looking like I'm walking out with like a parachute around me, you know? Yeah, I might go jump out of a helicopter later. No big deal.
I've been rocking those moto jeans though.
Love my motos. I actually, so in the process of moving out, I found a pack of like unopened jeans that I don't know how long I've had them. That I ordered them on the line, on the line,
On
and
the webs,
they've been on the own lines.
the
They've been
Google Com.
yes, interweb. Anywho's, they've been sitting on my bookshelf for like 2 or 3 years, and I was like, hell yeah! Like I ain't gotta buy pants for a minute now.
Yeah, I fucking rearranged my clothes the other week. We have really descended from these like high, lofty, important conceptual things to our individual experiences. And that's pretty fun. Now, I rearranged my clothes the other week and realized, shit, I own some fucking clothes. I've got like 3 dressers of t-shirts. I was able to arrange my t-shirts based on cool shit I would wear in public, and things I would work on things wearing.
That's a pretty good categorization. I mean, I do like me myself personally, I do the color coded stuff, you know. So I go from I separate everything into color, and then based on that I do shades of that color.
Tried the color coding method one time, but like the first wash screwed it up.
Always.
Yeah.
Like the moment
Yeah.
I had to put anything back into that order, I got really fucking critical of my method. Because there's always those moments where you're like, okay, saturation versus hue. Do I
For
place
sure.
it here because it doesn't have as much yellow to it? Or do I place it here because the amount of yellow in it is lower, but yellow is the dominant color? So then shit just went back to where there is space.
If it fits.
It fits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all right, I'm gonna say one more little spiel, and then I want to like reel it back in a little bit here. But I used to get the coolest hand-me-downs from Jayce.
The fucking rave pants.
They were the sickest.
Yes. Oh, those fucking Hot Topic trips.
Oh man, Hot Topic is a name I have not heard in a while.
You've been living right.
I got a solid like 4 or 5 years out of those.
Oh my god. Oh, this conversation could go to the Somewhere Else Tavern, but I think that's a bad idea.
No, we stay out of there. They closed that place for a reason.
Yeah, Burley died.
Oh, that was the reason?
Yeah, you didn't know Burley died, bro?
No.
Fuck yeah, Burley's dead, man. Apparently being like a 400-pound diabetic for 30 years eventually might kill you.
I never thought of him as being diabetic or old. I always thought he was just a crazy one-legged gay man.
I mean, yes, Burley was cool, but he was also unhealthy.
So you know, who was
Diabetes will
Burley?
kill you. Oh, Burley ran the Somewhere Else Tavern, which is right down
Burley,
the street.
Word.
Burley was a giant who sat by the door when you gave like a 27-year-old with 3 kids from different like fucking mothers, because he was just that powerful as a bouncer. You're $5 or $7 to enter the Somewhere Else Tavern. And Burley would go, "Hey man, how's it going?" Burley owned the tavern. If you didn't know Burley owned the tavern, he was a guy you're like, why is there this random hillbilly? That's a really fucking classist thing to say.
He always wore the,
You're like, who's this fucking hillbilly in overalls sitting by that cool bouncer? And that was Burley. He was a giant who owned the Somewhere Else Tavern.
There you go.
And the tavern was where you saw bands like Monsters of Japan, or the 5 Ls, or Ill Mike, or Social Outcast UB, or Mr. Fancy Pants and the Satanic Mechanics. The Somewhere Else Tavern was where you go to see the people you knew 3 grades beforehand play in a sad knockoff of Korn in 2003.
It was a time.
Oh man.
It was lovely. Also, you're gonna pay $5 for a PBR.
Oh no.
You actually bought alcohol there?
Oh hell yeah.
Yeah, people just bought me beer.
Nah.
Nick wasn't that cool.
No, I wasn't.
Correct me if I'm wrong. The tavern used the fucking stamps that you could just wipe off in the bathroom if you were underage, right?
Yeah.
Like that ink, you could just go and you
Yeah.
could buy beer suddenly. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, well, it kind of mixed up. Like sometimes you get the stamp. Sometimes you just have a marker because he got drunk and lost his stamp.
Yeah. Oh God, I miss the tavern. I went there once as an adult. Like, I was hanging out with actually the guy I drove up to Hanging Rock with this past weekend. I mentioned that before the video started, right?
Say that again?
The dude I drove up to Hanging Rock with.
Hanging around.
Yeah.
That conversation was before we were being filmed.
Yeah, he had a maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. I don't remember if we caught that, but he
I
took
think I
it
was,
in
I
there,
was
right?
smoking a cigarette out back. But yeah, I drove like when he was on his first marriage. I've hit the age where people can have multiple marriages, and that's weird. But yeah, when he was on his first marriage, we like were waiting for his wife to get off her shift at Chili's and just went to the Somewhere Else Tavern to see what was going on. And like we were old enough that we showed up early, and they were like, "Are you guys? What band are y'all playing with tonight?" And no, it wasn't even what band are y'all playing with. It was, "Are y'all guys in one of tonight's bands?" And we said no. I'd also like to make it clear, though, I love Andrew. Andrew is my friend. Andrew is a significantly better driver than me. There is footage of our time at Hanging Rock this past weekend where his Mini Cooper, like his 10-year-old Mini Cooper, is significantly outpacing my 2020 BMW M240 through every part of the roads. Andrew is a wonderful person. But one time we went to go see Dan Orbach of the Black Keys in Chapel Hill, or Carver, I guess, at Cat's Cradle.
Love that.
And like,
great venue.
yeah, they were fucking sold out. They were completely fucking sold out.
Mm.
But like, I wound up talking to the guitarist for the opening act, and he was like, "Hey, so how'd y'all like our set?" And I was like, "Oh shit, these guys are on a set." And I was honest with the dude. I was like, "Hey, we showed up because we didn't think it would sell out. It's sold out. So we've just been kind of fucking hanging out here, smoking cigarettes, drinking gas station beers." Like, "Oh, fuck, man. Let me talk to a dude real quick." So he talks to the dude at the gate. He comes back to us. He's like, "Look, we're getting you in. Just say you are Dan Halen and Associates of, Squidbillies."
Yeah.
So, like, I love Andrew, but I'll walk up to the door and I'm like, "I'm Dan Halen and Associates," point to him and his wife, and I walk through, and then Andrew gets to the door and pays the guy. Like, Andrew is the sweetest, kindest, most beautiful person, but he got fucking free entry to a concert because his friend was social, and then fucking paid for the concert.
Not how that works, my guy.
Yeah, but he can outdrive my ass.
But I'm assuming he's got some work done.
A sway bar. He's just simply put a better driver.
It's also a lot less weight on that car.
I mean, it is. If you were to put, y'all know Top Gear, right?
Yeah.
If you were to put the Stig in both cars, mine would crush him. The dude's a better driver than me. I'm not ashamed to admit that. I have my limitations. I like driving. I'm not amazing at it.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's
a solid point.
super fair. Yeah.
All right. So let's bring it back in.
Let's do it.
We're kind of getting to geopolitics. How are we gonna solve this riddle, boys?
What riddle are we solving?
Well, we kind of touched on a lot here, so I guess we're gonna solve them all, or not.
Nah, I think we're gonna focus on maybe not solving, but trying to discuss maybe solving. Are you speaking of the societal problem that we're going through right now?
They're all societal problems.
Well, the
Which
societal
one?
problem in terms of capitalism, or the shift from people finding pleasure in personal relationships as opposed to like objects, or what are we talking here? Because we touched a lot.
Our inability to find pleasure with interacting with one another is an essential part of capitalism.
Mm.
Yeah.
Because we have to view one another as competitors, and the entire idea that we should be in competition with one another is, you know, an entire and alienating, dehumanizing aspect of our being. In fact, I would like to point for a moment to Adolf Hitler.
Mm.
Not as someone to look up to, obviously,
Yeah.
but one of the key components of Hitler was that he had his different commanders and different divisions at odds with one another because he thought that they would reach better points through their competition.
Yeah, I mean, that's something. Again, I mean, I don't want to harp on the fact that I'm not from here, but it's
He was Hitler.
You
It's
got like-
Austrian.
no. He actually mass genocided my people because I am
He's
Jewish.
touched on-
So
he's Jewish.
I mean,
but
I'd like to make it clear, just so I'm on record, Hitler was a piece of shit.
there we go.
And it's weird to think, as Norm Macdonald says, that his dog loved him.
But you got a lot in common with Hitler.
Hey man, it is 2020 America. You gotta say you don't like Hitler. You gotta make that clear.
Yeah. No, I listen. No one on this podcast likes Hitler. All right, but what I was going with it was, you know, wasn't necessarily there. I was going at it in more of a the direction of immigrant coming to the States. Something that was like imperative for me to learn was that, like, exactly what you just said there is like the fact that the whole competition, like relationships that you have, right? Like, to me, that was just so like, I'm still like, even now, having been here for this long, like learning how to properly kind of move within certain relationships when it comes to that competitive kind of nature of people here. I mean, where I'm coming from, people, again, it comes back to the money thing, right? Like, people in my country don't have a lot of money. So you find a lot of people relying on one another, relying on that relationship you have with your neighbor, or maybe the certain people on your floor living in an apartment complex to sometimes help you out, and they expect the same in return, right? So there's this more of this kind of, even you can call it more of a materialistic kind of bond or connection, but that turns into something a little bit more, right? So coming here to this country, no one really, I mean, of course, people need help. A lot of people need help. There's a lot of homeless population. I mean, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying the average person here in the States doesn't necessarily need a lot of materialistic help. And because of that, it is more of a competitive relationship they have with one another, right? Where, you know, that, and me coming from the place that I'm coming from, I had to learn that real quick. And because I didn't have the capability of learning that quick, I looked weak to a lot of people, and I realized that looking weak to a lot of people doesn't make you a lot of friends. You know what I mean? So, it's
what counts as strong and weak is so distinctly, specifically American.
right.
I
Exactly.
just wanted to with that. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're absolutely right. Yeah, no, I agree with you, man. It's like,
I gotta ask a question.
yeah, go ahead.
So Jayce,
What about him?
you can go back in time, right? And you have the option: kill baby Hitler or don't kill baby Hitler.
You do not know how much thought I have put into this, and I will return to it in just a second.
I'm looking forward to
So, like, I would like to posit two things to what you were just saying, Dima.
Mhm.
One, I would like to posit the word material as opposed to materialistic.
Mm.
Because it feels to me that so many of Americans' material needs are met in a very simplistic way. Like, it's not hard to get enough calories to survive. There
Right.
are ways to survive if you cannot afford yourself a house. that it doesn't strike me so much as about like our inability to access materialistic goods as much as it is to meet our basic material conditions.
Oh,
I
okay,
think
yeah,
that
right.
that's part of it because we have just enough to not die that
Mhm.
we're in competition for that little bit more to feel full. And the other part of that I'd like to touch on is like so much of how we're fucking taught history is about what one guy did.
Mm,
Like,
mm,
here's what George Washington did. Here's what Benjamin Franklin did. Here's what Abraham Lincoln did. And none of it attempts to put them as like, or within their context, within their space, within their historical moment, within the larger discussion. And since so much of that is based on what individuals did, we've got this big fucking idea that one guy is going to change the world
mm.
and we're going to credit that one dude with changing the world. And it makes us like completely ignorant of the value of community.
Right. Yeah.
And anyways, back to Nick's point.
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
I would love to hang out with you sometime, y'all. Just like
For
this
sure, man.
conversation has spiraled far beyond interview or anything like that. But back to what Nick said. If given the opportunity to time travel and shoot baby Hitler, I've thought about this. I've considered it for a long time. It strikes me that there is something deeply weird about people wanting to shoot a baby.
Mm.
I would raise baby Hitler as my own.
Mm.
I would be the only person in my timeline aware of what my son had done under the alternate timeline that I was originally from. I would be the only person who raised him aware of the atrocities that had happened in his name, spearheaded by him.
Mm.
I would be the only person aware of what he had done to the world because like the ramifications of Hitler are still being fucking felt. Like, and I mean, America's foundation, like fucking Walt Disney loved Hitler. Fucking Henry Ford loved Hitler.
I mean, we aren't even touching on what NASA. I don't even want to get there, but what NASA did with. I'm not even gonna be that
real.
guy.
Hey man, you were a Nazi. Can you make rocket go up? You ain't a Nazi no more. And not even like, dude, have you read anything about how the fucking Jewish and black populations of the communities in the South that those installations were built in dealt with it?
No, I haven't personally, no.
I've seen some good articles at random that are just talking about like Jewish communities and black communities in the South around places like where von Braun was located and how they dealt with the fact that there were fucking Nazis there now. And America was cool with it because they could make rocket go fast. But I would raise baby Hitler to not be Hitler. That is what I would do. Now, I'm not saying World War II wouldn't happen. World War II happened because of the conditions that led to fucking World War II. Without a Hitler, there would have been another Hitler. He just wouldn't have been Hitler. But I would raise baby Hitler because I would know myself then that an individual is not the point.
Right.
That it is these larger conditions that like fucking the anti-Semitism in Europe had reached such a boiling point and the poverty in Germany had reached such a boiling point. And then I could look and have a better understanding of how these larger conditions of racism and poverty led to complete fucking fascism.
Yeah, no, that's also something important to kind of single out and hone in on is the fact that either way, shit would have hit the fan, or the ceiling, and either way, I mean, you know what, I wouldn't go back in time, man, to be honest. Like, I think that looking at it from more of a, even I can take religion into account here from a more of a Jewish perspective. If Hitler, I mean, this is fucked up to say, but if Hitler didn't happen, Israel wouldn't exist. You know what I mean? So it's like, we gotta look past the book cover here, right? We gotta look past the name of the title, right? Like it's so much more than that, right? Like these things happen in history, and this is not by any means the first time this has happened in history before or after, right? Like this has happened before.
Wasn't even the biggest genocide of the last century.
Yeah, and I mean, if you look before that, you have.
I'm not downplaying the Holocaust. I'm just
no.
genocide is enacted constantly among our
right.
citizens.
Exactly. And what I'm saying here is, the fact that we cannot purposefully and thankfully, in my opinion, change the past because of I wouldn't want to go back into the future because I think that everything happens for a reason. And I think that because these kind of things, and not only World War II, obviously, even we can relate it to things that are happening now, right? We have to go through the shit in order to get to the ultimate destination. You know what I mean? And like our job is to be as present as possible in order to prevent things like World War II happening, and in order to, again, going back to the community, to have a tighter bond with the people around us, right? Like, and if we look at all religions and many different philosophies, a huge thing that pops up in all of these things is people are literally telling us, hey, love your neighbor as yourself, love your neighbor as yourself, love your neighbor as yourself. What does that mean? Yeah, sure, we can look at it as literally love my neighbor as myself, but I don't look at it like that so much. I look at it as my neighbor is everything around me. My neighbor is not only my neighbor next door, but maybe the person next to me when I'm out getting a burger. Maybe it's, oh, should I really throw this piece of trash on the fucking road? You know what I mean? Or should I look at this place that I exist in as my neighbor, right? Like the things that surround me, the things that I coexist with, right?
Your
Like
neighbor
that's,
is the contextualizes you.
yeah,
You without your neighbor is nothing. You're a void. You're a vacancy. You're a fucking emptiness. You're a fucking abyss.
exactly. Yep. And again, we're doing circles all night tonight. Making another full circle, man. It's like it's going back to the thing of the relationships, right? The people and the relationships that we live with and exist within. That's why it's so important and imperative for us, as our guest tonight takes a bite of his pizza, to
I've hurt this bottle. I've not had a drink in weeks.
Eat up, Bo.
Eat up, man. Eat up. Drink up. But yeah, no, I mean, all I'm trying to say is, man, it's just, we have to, and let's make it a little bit more practical for the people sitting at home or at the workplace, listening or viewing. We just gotta be a little bit nicer to one another. And we, not only that, because that's a little bit impractical to say, because I mean, a lot of our thoughts are not even our own, right? It's based on the environment. I think what we can do is we can start at least trying to have a desire to be nice to one another. At least trying to have that thought of being nice. We don't necessarily, it's a step-by-step process. We don't have to actually go out and try to change who we are in order to be nice to someone. No, we at least need to have that in the back of our minds so that it's a snowball effect, right? It's a psychological snowball effect. If we formulate a desire or a thought to at least, let me at least try to think nice things. Let me at least do that, right? I don't have to go out of my way or do something unnatural for me. Yeah, go out of my way and say this to this person or maybe do this for this person, right? At least let me if I'm driving down a road and I see someone on the side of the road and my first thought is, oh man, that person is this thing, or this thought comes into me. Let me at least try to reroute that. Let me at least try to say, oh wow, that's a beautiful person right there, man. Or, oh wow, that's kind of funny. You know what I mean? In a positive way. That's all I'm trying to say.
You're having a bad day, and like we'd like to be interacted with if we was having a bad day.
Yeah.
But backwards to what Nick was saying, here's another question. It's not about shooting baby Hitler. The moment before the Soviets were there, the moment before he put the bullet in his head, the moment before
the
Soviet army, well, we're not going to get into that. The moment before the Soviet army had a chance to give Hitler what he deserved, if you had a time machine, would you choose that as a point in time to go back and beat up Hitler every time you got frustrated? Like he thinks he's about to control his own narrative. He thinks he's about to go, fuck it. I will not be dealt with like this. They will not try me. And he like puts it right there, and then all of a sudden, like there's a blinding flash of light. You get to dive through and just beat the shit out of Hitler every time he thinks he's gonna get to kill himself. Would you do it when you were frustrated? I would love to beat the shit out of Hitler.
Well, wait, hold on. Maybe you'd actually cause him to blow his brains out because of like
You startled.
you startled him. You know
You
what I
have
mean?
time. Let's structure it so that you have time.
Right.
He's decided to do it, but at that moment, you always get to go and beat his ass. And like maybe with like how causality works and everything, at the end of it, you shoot him or something yourself, and everyone thinks it's suicide. Whatever, who cares? If you got to beat up Hitler every time you were frustrated, how nice would that be? It's not a question of if you would do it. It's a question of how nice would that be? I don't want to shoot a baby, but my God, I would love to fucking bust my knuckles on Hitler's skull. That fucking receding ass hairline, that fucking mustache, that fucking, oh man, I'd love to beat up Hitler.
I feel like he would have been a pushover too, though. Little scrawny guy.
Yeah, that's
8 years of meth abuse.
that's insane.
I mean, he'd be wiry, but like,
Yeah, we just literally watched a whole documentary about
so
that.
we do like we have like this whole little, what would you call it, like a podcast centric group.
Yeah.
Where we all have like 3 different podcasts, so we all hang out. And we were watching about this documentary on how the Germans abused methamphetamines.
That's not what it was called. They were popping basically like little candy things.
Yeah, they gave them, little regimens of methamphetamine
Mhm.
that they would just load up on, get out there and start capping.
them yellow jackets keep you tired, man, from slacking.
I wish I could recap that entire story about the guy with the skis.
Oh, geez, that would be a long time for
Yeah.
your recap, though.
It's such a good video.
We'd have to talk off record on that.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, I've fucked up at least 2 of y'all's attempts to wrap things up, bring it to a close. You can end your podcast in about an hour. I'm acutely aware of how much time has passed. I ain't gonna step on y'all shit no more. I got some pizza to eat. I gotta take a piss. I gotta walk a dog. I gotta watch some professional wrestling.
You gotta let me know how that wrestling goes.
Yeah.
So I'll stop interfering with y'all.
Hey, listen, it was amazing to have you on. Thank you so much for giving us your time. And not only that, but giving the listeners and the viewers, now that we're on, now I'm trying to make it a little bit more vocal that we're on streaming platforms, all major streaming platforms these days. So
All the big ones: Spotify, Pandora,
Apple Podcasts.
Apple Podcast.
Yeah. And that's important to mention. It's not Apple Music. It's Apple Podcasts. So if you don't have the app, go check that out. If you'd rather listen to it there, or if you already have Spotify, go listen to that. But if you don't have either and you would love the viewing experience and love Jayce, love to look at Jayce eating a pizza or Nick pounding some beers down and making weird faces, definitely check out the YouTube. Yep. There we go. Yep. Perfect. Perfect.
Oh, lovey-dovey with the knuckle grub.
Yep. And also, Jayce, please. This is time to. I guess it's time to. Now that we're wrapping up, to plug yourself. Where can the lovely folks listening and viewing find you at if they want to reach out and talk a little bit more about killing baby Hitler, or maybe the problems with capitalism, or
Literature stuff.
et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, even literature stuff. Maybe where they can find your magazine at. What's up?
Maybe they want to get into
Hit up AlexSprings.com. I am JCRPWOS on Twitter. I don't tweet that much. My entire Facebook account is slowly integrating into faker and faker names, so nobody can find me because I got, like I said before, that sweet government job. I mean, yeah, if you happen to run a literary magazine, email me or tweet at me. Say, I would love to publish you. Because, I mean, I'm old. I've stopped giving a shit. I've stopped interacting. Buy Outlook Springs, OutlookSprings.com. It's a wonderful magazine. Buy my spouse's book, Al Russell, Children of the Ancient City. It is the fucking, the Italian hand emoji available. check that out. Check out Outlook Springs. Buy Al's book. Buy Outlook Springs. Don't bother me. I just want to retreat.
And make pizza.
Yeah, and eat it.
And drive the sweet car. Yeah, man, I feel you.
All right. Thank you so much for coming up.
Thank y'all for having me.
It's been a pleasure, man. It's been a pleasure. We'll definitely get back to you off record for sure.
Y'all are amazing.
And this has been the 4099 podcast again with your hosts Dima and
I'm Nick.
and we're signing off.
Night, y'all.
Wait.
Ooh.